be abstaining, please. So welcome to this Armidale Regional Council meeting on the 24th of July. I do hope my voice will last that long, and I concur with my learned colleague here. We, the councillors of the Armidale region, declare that we will undertake the duties of the office of councillor in the best interests of our community and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions vested in us to the best of our skill and judgment. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. The Armidale regional community pays tribute to their love of land, love of people and love of culture. Now this meeting is being audio and video recorded, and recordings of the non-confidential parts of the meeting will be made available on the internet. No other persons are permitted to record the meeting unless specifically authorised by council to do so. Now there's no people registered to have your say. Could I ask mobile phones to be put on silent or switched off, please? Thank you. Councillor Libby Martin can't make this meeting, so can I have a move and a second? Councillor Gray, Councillor Robinson, those in favour? Carried. Are there any disclosures of interest today? Nope. Confirmation of minutes. All the minutes were circulated around to councillors. Are there any corrections to be made? Councillor Robinson?
I still haven't had a correction to my correction for the May minutes. So maybe you could just note that I corrected the May. I wanted a correction to the May minutes, and just note it in the thing here. And that's the only correction. That Councillor Robinson requested a correction when we were discussing the minutes of the May meeting, in the June meeting.
CEO?
Thank you, Dr. Mayor. We are aware and have received Councillor Robinson's request to amend a portion of the May minutes. We have responded. I have responded to Councillor Robinson to say the amendment that she wanted we consider to be part of the debate rather than an amendment to the motion.
Okay, moving on to item 9.1. Sorry?
Sorry, what about 8.1, Mayor?
Oh, there's no recommendation by council, so it's not on the list. So we won't be debating. So moving on to 9.1.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused because it was a report from the General Manager. It wasn't a motion. Does that mean the report's not ready?
There is no report there. It's what you see. There's no recommendation to put. So how do we debate a recommendation's not there? Councillor Bailey? Yeah.
Yeah, can I move a procedural motion that I believe Councillor O'Brien wanted to ask some questions, and I'd like to move that those questions be accepted.
You want a procedural motion that we listen to Councillor O'Brien's questions? That the?
No, we're allowed to ask questions about any item on the agenda, are we not?
When we come to that item, yes. This is not. This item is not on the agenda. Not being debated, Councillor Robinson.
Yeah. Well, does it matter if it's debated or not?
Then you have to look at another way if you want to do that, not this way. So moving on to 9.1. Can I have a move and a seconder for Local Government New South Wales Conference? Councillor Witters, Councillor Murray. What I'd like to do, councillors, is do them in seriatim. So that's doing one at a time.
Make an amendment?
Yes, you can.
Yes. In section B, we've got Councillor Witters endorsed, blah, 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 next number of votes, that's all good. And that a third delegate with full voting rights be also nominated? Since we do have rights for a third delegate.
Yes, you can. And thank you, Councillor O'Brien. I was thinking about going myself.
I'm sorry, say it
I
again.
was thinking about going myself, so I'm glad you
Oh,
are
okay.
going to bring this amendment up.
Okay, I thought you weren't going, but now you're going, okay. You're going?
Yes.
Okay.
So, Councillor Robinson, do you want it was you moving the amendment, wasn't it?
No, I was talking about 8.1.
No, I moved the amendment, but if you're already going, then it's probably unnecessary then.
Yep. Councillors, moving, I'll take them in seriatim, so one at a time. What I would like is people to debate each one, and then we'll vote on each one. So, moving on to Part A, Councillor notes that Councillor Martin has declined. Anyone wish to debate that? Either not, if not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Part B, that Councillor Witters be endorsed. Any debate? Okay, those in favour?
Excuse me.
Carried. Oh,
You said any debate, and
yes, sorry.
I would like to be considered to be a voting delegate at the local government conference.
So, Connor, can you bring your microphone down, please? We have Councillor Witters, Councillor O'Connor. Any others that wish to go? If not, I'll put that to the vote. First, alphabetical. Councillor O'Connor, those in favour of supporting Councillor O'Connor going to the conference? Those in favour of Councillor Witters? And we have Councillor Witters is the person going. Part C, it's a two-part, this motion. Any debate on this motion? If not, I'll put it. Those in favour? Carried. Part D, the Emergency Services Levy. Anyone wish to debate that? Councillor O'Brien?
Mainly that I think it's important that we join the chorus of voices all around New South Wales councils who are asking for this emergency service levy to be reversed. Basically, it has impacted on councils' ability, or potentially, has impacted on councils' ability to deliver programs. And I think we'd be just really standing up for our community by ensuring that we have a voice there amongst the chorus to push this forward, that such a move that was made, I suppose, even after our budgets have been put together, and when this council particularly had worked so hard to ensure that we had a responsible budget, were unable to calculate this extra impost on that budget, and it was pretty tough on us. And I guess I want us to make sure that we join in all those voices and stick up for our community here, because people will be impacted by that further cost on our community. And that's all. Thank you.
Councillor O'Brien? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Bailey?
No, I speak in favour of Councillor O'Brien.
I just want to see if there's someone against first. Okay, Councillor Bailey?
I'm concerned about the timing of the levy. I mean, you know, it happened at 11 minutes to midnight, and put us in a very difficult situation. And I'm also concerned that they put us through rate pegging. Why can't they follow the same rules for us? So that they are going to put through an increase on any item, regardless of the fact that your costs blow out, that all they can do is put through rate pegging, or the same equivalent to rate pegging on any increases they put through.
Anyone wish to speak against? All right, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Part E. Any debate on Part E? If not, I'll put that to the vote.
okay.
Councillor O'Brien?
I think it's very similar in a way to the last one. Can you hear me? The council has been put on, particularly councils in the regions that have had to amalgamate, and particularly during this drought period, has again put on a lot of financial pressure on our council. And again, we're just looking, obviously, as representatives of the community to get the best deal for our community and recognise the difficulties we're facing and have faced post-amalgamation and during the drought, and basically stand up for our community and get the best deal possible here. If it means, again, same argument, if it means, again, that there are certain projects that we can't deliver, make sure that our voices are heard at a New South Wales Local Council to deliver for our community and to assist us in some of the important commitments we've made for our delivery programs. Thank you.
Councillor O'Brien?
Oh.
Councillor Gray?
Just speaking of concerns around this motion, or that we have already received significant financial assistance and financial through the amalgamation fund, etc. It does, to me, appear that this could look as if we don't know how to manage our money, given the money that the state government's already given us. So I'm inclined not to support this one.
Councillor O'Connor?
Oh, look, I'd like to support this being taken to local government New South Wales. Look, it's just an observation. I think that the report that's referred to, the Sea of Red Ink, it shows a very, very clear pattern not related to any other aspect of merged councils' ability to manage. It just shows an extremely clear pattern that those councils that have been merged are now with, I think, one exception, which is Dubbo, but all the rest of them, and it's regardless of whether they're metropolitan or regional councils or like small country councils, they're all showing the same pattern, that something's happened in the merger process where there was clearly an inadequate estimate of the costs of the merger. I mean, the assistance that was given in relation to costs was simply $5 million, and it's clear that when you put two, it's just now apparent that when you put two or councils that are in difficulty together, you're going to have difficulty. And I think it's really important, it's not saying anything particular about this council. What it's saying is that as a group of councils, the merged councils, we're asking local government, New South Wales, to talk with the state government about why that is, and is there any additional assistance available. Now, we know that there is additional assistance available because so many of the proposed mergers didn't go ahead, and all of them had in the vicinity of $15 to $30 million assistance set aside for them. So there's plenty of money there. I don't think with respect to Councillor Gray, I don't think it redounds to any personal or individual council's ability to manage money. It's just a trend, and it needs to be brought to the state government for some sort of remediation financially.
Speaker against? So, my concern is that this looks very similar to one we rejected in the June meeting, if I remember correct, as a council. So, okay, if there's no others, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? It's lost.
Do a recount on that, Mr.
It's very simple. It's 5-5. I have the casting vote. Number F. Any debate on F? Councillor O'Brien?
In regards to building regulations, this is very much related to the fact that many businesses that close down, and one of the major factors in business closing and bankruptcy has been the cost of electricity. It's also one of the greatest reasons now for homelessness. So this is a very important issue that local councils really need to address, and that is the upgrading of building regulations to ensure, particularly people who don't have control over their environment, they don't have control over their buildings, for example, renters who bear the costs much greater than the rest of the population in having to bearing the cost of higher electricity prices. I think this is becoming, as weather becomes more extreme, and particularly in this area where weather is extreme, and we could be in the forefront of those councils who are pushing for improved regulation regarding building regulations to ensure people don't pay those.
Just
What?
Councillor Tiley, Councillor O'Connor, please, while the councillor speaking, please be quiet. Sorry, Councillor O'Brien.
That's okay. Basically, I suppose this council, as living in a place with extreme weather, we should be on the forefront of pushing for improved building regulations to protect and to stand up for our community, particularly in a time when we know electricity prices are putting people on the streets and out of business. I think it's a really important kind of area that we should be really discussing and debating and ensuring that we protect our population around on these issues. So I would say let's be, the council that is on the vanguard of ensuring that we're fighting for a better deal for our community on these issues. I've seen, having talked to the neighbourhood centre and to local business lobby groups, how many people are affected by the extreme prices in electricity. So, yeah, it's an important issue, so I ask you to support this. Thank you.
A speaker against? Councillor Gillespie?
Look, I feel for what Councillor O'Brien is saying, but I'm just trying to put it on the other page of that the standards are really, really high for a start, I believe, here with any new ones. Any investment home that you've got that might be of an older standard, it's going to be a bigger burden on anyone that owns or invests in these investment homes. And believe it or not, it's very, very hard to keep a lot of tenants happy. I don't think that this is going to get too far with this. I still think that nothing would change too much, and I think the standards pretty well are nearly, you're very restricted to what you can do anyway. But that's the reason why why I won't be supporting this. Thank you.
A speaker for, Councillor Withers.
I'll say it's full, but again, we'll see how I phrase it and see how we go. Just reading what's written up there, and the people, Councillor Robinson or Councillor O'Brien can answer this question for me, is, from what's been written, is there already a New South Wales government inquiry into building regulations happening now? Is that a yes or a no? Yes. Is there already a New South Wales government inquiry into building regulations happening now at the moment? So, having a look at that, all this one is just asking for is that local government New South Wales supports that. Is that basically what you're asking for? Because not really asking for a lot in regards to that. So I can't see, if you're not really asking for a lot, why you can't support it.
Councillor Tiley.
Question, Mr Mayor, if I may, to Mr Hallman, if he's in the room, is he there? Yeah, thank you. He's the most familiar person in this room with basics, which has been around now for 20 or 25 years. In your view, are the basics standards in relation to particulate pollution for this area, are they adequate, or do they need strengthening?
I'll have to ask the CEO on a comment first.
Oh, simply that I think Mr Hallman is the most appropriate person to answer it through you, Dr Mayor.
Thank you, councillors. Basics is a statewide system that was developed by the state government to look at water efficiency and energy efficiency of homes built across New South Wales. Does it work adequately for, or is it achieving the outcomes that we hoped for the Armidale region? There would be some debate around that. My personal belief is that it probably does not. We see some applications that achieve a basic certificate, that certainly there are better environmental outcomes in that design. Having said that, it is ensuring that all homes meet a minimum standard. So that's something to weigh up in that scenario as well.
Thank you, Mr Ambrose. Any other debate?
Hello?
I'll put that. Councillor Rawlinson.
Yeah, I think the question is that basics might have been okay 20 years ago, but it's probably, as energy prices have increased and we know more about other issues, it's something that could be improved and make houses a lot more, much lower running costs in the future. After all, we want people to come to this region, to enjoy this region, and there's such a vast difference between an energy efficient house with low running costs and one that's cold in winter or doesn't get the sun. So certainly I know what sort of house I choose to live in, and the costs of actually upgrading it to meet higher standards are way, way below the benefits that could be achieved even in 1, 2 or 3 years. So what we really want to do is make homes suitable for this region, make them more attractive for this region so that everybody can enjoy a healthier lifestyle. And the same really is that we've also agreed at previous council meetings to lobby the state government to upgrade existing buildings. Plus, we know again where the benefits greatly exceed the cost of upgrading, we should be doing it because it makes our region a more attractive and better place to live, and that's what we all want.
Any others? Debate, Councillor O'Brien.
I'll write a reply when.
No, you don't have a right to reply on this one.
Right.
No, because there's no move and a second on each one.
Oh.
So, Councillor Gray.
I have a concern that, and please correct me if I'm mistaken, BASIX is a building code?
Yes.
Yes. Rather than an environmental code. And I think we need to be very careful that this is not mixing the two. And so I'm wondering if there's any way that the wording could be clear on that. Because the last two areas, when we're looking at air pollution, well, the pollution in winter, and then the upgrading existing buildings, does the BASIX actually deal with those? I'm wondering if that's a question that we could, through the CEO, Dr. Mann, that we could ask Ambrose.
I'll pose a question on CEO. Councillor O'Connor, you turn your microphone.
Thank you, councillors. If I'm understanding the question correctly, BASIX is a certificate that's required to be lodged with all new homes that ensures that an assessment has been undertaken of that home to assess its water sustainability and its in energy efficiency. So while it is a building component or a certification component of building, it is actually looking for environmental outcomes. The concept behind it is that if we have energy efficiency and water efficiency built into new homes, we'll see less demand on those aspects. However, in our climate, could we do better? Probably could. However, there's also market forces that are involved in the design of homes we see in Armidale. So I hope that answered it.
It does in regards to the second bit around the pollution in winter. With the third bit, the provision of funds to upgrade existing buildings, does the basic standard actually cover buildings already existing? So I'm just wondering if it's not so much the provisions of funds, but for basics to actually start covering renovations or something like that. So therefore, if it can't, then that statement, that sentence is a bit redundant in this motion.
Yep, basics covers new buildings, so new homes, not renovations to an existing home.
Can I add a comment or an explanation as to why we wanted to upgrade existing buildings as well? And that because we see that these two are complementary. Basics will cover new buildings and make new buildings energy efficient and much better to live in. But we've still got a problem with existing buildings. And I believe, and perhaps Ambrose will confirm this, that our green print recommendations include upgrading basics and also upgrading energy efficiency of existing buildings. So this is something that we've already sort of discussed and debated in council, and so it seems to be generally supported.
So
Councillor Gray, did you finish your questions?
yeah,
before
I wanted to suggest an amendment based on the information provided by Mr. Holman. And that is that we make a second part and separate the last statement from the rest of it.
Yeah, okay.
So as that it isn't linked to the basic standards. Does that make sense?
So, Councillor O'Brien, you happy with that? You and Councillor Robertson were the two that put this up. Any further debate? Okay, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? 6. Those against? The motion's carried. Or the part is carried. Part G. Any debate on Part G? Councillor O'Brien?
Let me have a look at it again. Basically, all we're doing here is asking for the local government, New South Wales, to provide whatever assistance we might need to, we should stop moving it, I'm getting sick, to meet national standards. That's an important one because if it comes to the stage where our exceedances of national air quality standards, we start getting regulation which is outside our control, we may not have the ability to make local decisions that suit best our conditions and our local community and engage our local community to find ways out of this. So asking for their assistance gives us power to make decisions ourselves about how we might best deal with this, our pollution problem. Along with this, of course, can be all sorts of grants and assistances to help us deal with our air quality standards. And with that could be, along with that could be a whole lot of, I suppose, assets to our town and our region around green energy reforms. So let's put the power here where we can make decisions. I couldn't imagine why you would want to knock back assistance when we actually have an issue. We have an issue, we have the ability to, if we get the assistance, we have the ability to make decisions here that will be best for our community by engaging our community and assisting those who might want to transition to cleaner energy without any levels of regulation being imposed on the community. So, you know, why would we say no to help in this issue? I can't see any reason why not. Thank you.
The Speaker against? Councillor Gertley?
I'm still sticking to my guns on the wood smoke issue. I still haven't seen anyone fall over dead from wood smoke. Until that day, I'm afraid I'm still going to stick with that. And that might sound a little bit pig-headed, but I think I owe myself a little bit to just keep wood fires going for a lot of people because I still appreciate them. And anyway, thank you.
Anyone else? Councillor Witters?
Yeah, I'll support Councillor O'Brien's comments. There's a lot of things I haven't seen people keel over from yet either, so maybe they don't exist as well. I think, as Councillor O'Brien said, any assistance to anything that needs to be done in regards to improving our air quality at certain times of the year would be great. I know you have your external group need to report back soon if some of their recommendations need some funding and we're able to get some sort of support or funding, then that's a good way to go about it. So there obviously, for someone who now lives in the smoke zone, as I'll call it, there's obviously an issue. And if there's any technologies or any other way that we can help this community understand how to reduce their impact from wood fires, like Councillor Galletley, I love a good wood fire, but it's about using it sensibly and properly, because it not only affects, although it gives us warmth, the smoke from it affects everyone in the community. So we've got to remember we're all part of the one system in regards to that, if that makes sense. So I would support chasing any sort of funding to help clear up the air, as to speak.
Thank you, Councillor Witters. Any others? Okay, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Moving on to item 11.1, proposed walking track. I'll move mover and second, please. Councillor Witters. Councillor Robinson, Councillor Witters.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. We need to encourage more of this sort of stuff to happen for the wildlife. As those of you who know me, well, one thing I like to do is heal the land. I think putting more vegetation and trees and everything else from wildlife corridors back into it is a great idea. And having spoken to the people around this report, I really commend them for their passion in regards to looking after the wildlife.
Councillor Robinson.
Yeah, this has been discussed at the Environmental Sustainability Advisory Committee, and there was, although we didn't reach a quorum at the last meeting, there was virtually universal support for this idea, which is not going to cost, which is going to deliver benefits to this community and to especially the people who live there, at no cost whatsoever to the council. So it's a wonderful idea and a wonderful community initiative, and we should be supporting community initiatives of this form.
Any speaker against? If not, I'll put that vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.1, Home Support Services Policy for HAC. Move in a second, please. Councillor Robinson, Councillor Tarley.
Just an amendment, please. Yeah. It's only small and it might seem minor, but that the draft home support services policy be endorsed for public exhibition. Just to clarify that we're not actually endorsing this, but we're endorsing it for public exhibition. What's the face for? No, so yeah, I know it says that, but the first one says be endorsed. So it just be endorsed for public exhibition. Do you know what I'm saying? So we're not endorsing the whole thing, we're just endorsing that it goes to public exhibition.
Councillor Robinson and Tarley, you
Yes, I'm happy.
Okay. So it's moved in second. Any Councillor Robinson, do you want to speak to this?
No, I think it's a good idea to send it out for public exhibition, and hopefully it looks like a good policy, and I hope we'll get a good outcome from this.
Councillor Tarley? Okay, anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Councillors, I'd like to, due to limitations on voice, I'd like to move that items 13, what are we up to? 13.1 to 13.6 as they're all information to be treated in Globo, unless someone wants to pull one out. So, Councillor Robertson?
I'd like to discuss 13.1 separately.
Who?
And move a slightly different slightly different motion.
But let's just leave, just want to see, anyone else want to pull one out? If not, can I have a mover and second that we treat all 13.2 to 13.6 in Globo? Councillor Gray, Councillor Withers, those in favour? Carried. So item 13.1, if I can move or a second, please.
I'd like to move it with a small change, if that's possible,
If you're
as long as I can get a seconder, which is that we have at part B that councillors and council committees are involved in the review.
CEO.
Through you, Dr. Mayor, the intent of this report was simply to advise council that the officers were doing a review of the report and we're not doing a re-review of the committee structure itself. And I just wanted to clarify that, and because I would suggest that the amendment actually would mean that we would redo the review of committees.
So can I have before we start, can I have a mover and a seconder that of this, since it's been isolated? Councillor Withers? Councillor Moret? No. Who's going to second? Councillor Bailey. Councillor Withers?
Well, if the information from the CEO is correct, then as the mover, with the amendment, is the amendment necessary at the moment, because it's a review of the report, not a review of the actual committees. So I don't think the amendment is necessary for this time. If another one comes up that says where they're reviewing the committees, then I think that's when that amendment should be in. It's a review of the report, not a review of the committees, based on that. So I'll support it as written.
Councillor Bailey? Councillor Withers, you...
Oh, sorry.
Councillor O'Brien used to speak.
Yeah, just to clarify, I'm just having a difficulty conceptualising this. So a review of the report of the committees would have to be a review of the committees in a sense, wouldn't it? I'm not quite...
I'm sorry, councillors, if I might clarify. Previously, the council has directed me and the staff to undertake a review of the committees, which we did. We presented a report at the last meeting, which was deferred by council. In that deferral, the staff and I have taken the opportunity to review the manner in which we have written the report and presented the information to the council. To accept if the amendment were passed, it would involve ourselves doing another review of the committees itself, rather than reviewing the way we've presented the information as a report.
Just thank you, Ms. CEO. I get it now. Thank you.
So, councillors, there's Councillor Robinson. Did you want to, if you want to keep with that amendment?
Yes, if I can get a seconder, because I think it is important that we did want some. I think council was certainly somewhat unhappy with the report as it stood, and just changing it in some minor details might create more trouble than it's more trouble, and it would actually then find that if we involve councillors in reviewing the report, and actually the report then comes up with a new structure involving councillors and involving committee members in that review of the new structure, would actually be a much more productive
Councillor
way to
Tiley
go.
and Councillor O'Connor, again, while a councillor is speaking, please be quiet. Councillor Rodson?
Yeah, I think this would be a much more productive way to review the report on the committee so that we end up with a consensus and that all councils, and that we end up with the committee structure that is the best for this council and the best for this community.
Is there a seconder? Okay, sorry, there's no seconder for your amendment, so. Anyone who wishes to speak against? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour of the motion as it's up there without the amendment? Those in favour? Carried. So moving on to item 16.1. Yes, we did, didn't we? We put them in Global and then I asked those in favour of it, and so we did. My memory. Yeah. 16.1, Regional Growth Advisory Committee. The minutes, so mover and seconder, please. Councillor Witters, Councillor Murat, Councillor Witters. Those in favour?
Before we go any further, could I ask a question? As chairman of the committee, could I ask a question, please, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
What stage are we at with the request in the April minutes of the meeting that we call for a report to see how we could best spend the $80,000 that was proposed to go to Evo Cities? We asked for a recommendation to come back to the committee on alternatives for some kind of promotion of Armidale in terms of attracting investment and attracting people here.
Through you, Dr. Mayor, the report is in train. The options are significant and extensive, and I guess it's a case of narrowing those down. Certainly, this morning's business symposium has flushed up additional options for consideration, and we'll feed those into the report.
Okay, anyone to speak against? Otherwise I'll put that. Councillor Tiley?
In view of the paucity of the items on the business paper, I'm going to ask a couple of questions, if I may, in relation to this committee. Councillor Bailey's covered in the first question about what we do post Evo Cities. We did ask that, as he said, back in April. I think it's really important that we get on with that. The minutes at 5.1 indicate that a committee member was expressing concerns over the sale of the airport. Now, I don't know what those concerns were. It's a while since we've been briefed. Where are we up to with that is my first question. And my second question is, the minutes at 6.2 also referred to an aviation and logistics centre concept. When will council be briefed about that, please?
Through you, Chair, there has been an initial briefing about the airport aviation logistics hub. We are not yet in a position to take it any further than that which has already been briefed to councillors. There's a fair bit of work yet to go into it, but it is largely dependent upon state government and their paddock to plane initiative, of which the regional airport is in the frame for consideration, but it hasn't moved since the last time we have briefed councillors on that matter. It's still at a conceptual stage because obviously significant funding needs to occur. The competitive dialogue, expressions of interest in respect of investment into the airport, there is an update, and unfortunately I haven't had time today to review the draft in your project update, which will go out tomorrow. We will shortly, I hope in the next couple of weeks, be in a position to bring quite a detailed briefing to councillors.
Right. Any further debate? Okay, I'll put that to vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 16.2, which is the Traffic Advisory Committee. Moving to seconder, please. Councillor Gray, Councillor Witters. Councillor Gray?
No comment.
Councillor Witters? Any for or against? If not, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Councillors, that was the item 18.1, the answers are there, so we'll move on. There's no closed session today.
Can I ask if we're allowed to ask additional questions during the questions on notice session, or do we have to put them into writing for the next meeting?
Yep, that's been in writing, Councillor Johnson. If that, this is a terrific meeting. Thank you, councillors, that we finish at, what's that, 4:50 or 4:47? Thank you for your assistance.